I'm Ryan Mullenbeck, Market Development Agronomist with Cargill out of the Rosetown and Kindersley locations. Today I'd like to talk to you about 1,000 kernel weight in canola, establishment of a good plant stand, plant populations, and ways to get the most out of your canola crop. So I wanted to talk to you about this study out of Ag Canada really quick that wanted to find out if different canola, 1,000 kernel weights, and seeding rates influenced yield or oil quality of a canola crop. So what they did find was that higher seeding rates gave better emergence and more crop biomass, which improved crop competition. Higher seeding rates also increased bushel weight and oil content. It also improves stubble density, which will help out with the next year's crop and catching snow. And finally, canola flowered sooner and matured sooner and reduced the number of days to flowering and to crop maturity. One of the major factors in improving canola yield is avoiding heat blast, and a higher seeding rate can help be part of that to get the crop matured sooner. When it comes to canola and establishment, something that must also be considered is proper spacing and uniformity of the stand overall. This led to a 20 to 32% increase in yield compared to uneven fields. And the importance of an even stand was even more obvious if our seeding rate dropped and the plant stands ended up being below 6 plants per square foot. The target that we want to aim for a plant stand count in a plant population is a range of 5 to 8 plants per square foot. The only way to ensure that we have a proper plant stand count, of course, is to go out and count the plants that have come up and emerged. Now you can either do that in the spring, right before spraying herbicide, and get the plants that made it through up to that point, or an even more accurate time to count would be just after harvest to count the plants that actually made it through all the way to provide yield. This way you can dial in your seeding rate and ensure that you're getting a proper stand establishment. Now we do get a lot of questions about 1,000 kernel weight in seed and bigger seed being better, smaller seed being better. What's the best type of canola? So one thing that this study found and numerous other studies out of Ag Canada and other independent researchers found is that seed size does not affect yield or quality. Seed size does give you the potential for maybe early biomass. It can get you to flowering a day sooner and finish flowering a day sooner, and sometimes bushel weight can increase, but the key takeaway is that it does not affect yield or quality, and also it does not give you any advantage to crop evenness or getting the crop out of the ground sooner. You would think that a larger seed would have more resources to draw on to help it penetrate the soil, but there is no correlation between seed size and consistency of emergence and evenness of the stand. So 1,000 kernel weight and seed size isn't a way to help us improve yield and improve quality of this high value canola crop. What can we do to improve our return? So another study was done out of Ag Canada, and this time they looked at seeding rates again, nitrogen rates, ESN, fungicides, and different combinations of those. So what this study found was that a higher seeding rate of 15 seeds per square foot versus 7.5 seeds per square foot increased yields by 1.2 bushels in 2008, and in 2010 it was 2.8 bushels higher. Higher than recommended nitrogen rates were found to be the biggest driver of higher yield. Yield targets related to nitrogen can be difficult to accurately meet. Depending upon how conservative your agronomist is or how your yield target is determined, different nitrogen rates can be given for the same target. Also, a lower yield target at a low organic soil matter site may require more nitrogen than a higher yield target at a high organic matter content site. On top of this, there are many other factors that influence nitrogen in crop yields. So it's not always cut and dried, but we can help you look at what your crop needs, what the soil needs, and also factor in your appetite for risk. Using ESN resulted in a 1.7 bushel per acre increase in 2010, but this was more of a variable result. Although less consistent, a 50-50 mixture of ESN and urea is a tool that can be used to increase yield and have nitrogen available later in the year. As well, products such as ESN and other nitrogen stabilizers allow you to improve the 4R practices on your farm by allowing you to have the right product, the right place, and the right timing for your fertilizer. In 2010 of this study, the fungicide treatment showed a yield increase, even though there was only a 5% sclerotinia infection rate. Canola yields were increased by 1.7 bushels per acre. The researchers cautioned that normally we want to spray and get the most bang for our buck when infection rates are 30% or higher. The researchers were surprised at this result at this low infection rate, as it doesn't follow the typical trends that were found in other studies. If there was a year to spray for sclerotinia in west central Saskatchewan, it was probably last year. Conditions were great for it, and there was lots of sclerotinia that could be picked out in the fall that caused damage to the canola plants and loss of yield. In 2008, doing all 4 treatments of a high seeding rate, a high nitrogen rate, half ESN, and spraying fungicide combined to provide 5.9 bushels per acre in increased yield. In 2010, the high input treatment was 8.9 bushels per acre higher, and this was the year where the ESN and the fungicide both really shone. So the researchers found that the important factors that you can do are using the newest genetics, using the proper seeding rate, and using proper nitrogen rates, as well as using ESN to improve nitrogen use and have nitrogen available in the soil later into the year. Other things to consider are to time your crops so the flowering doesn't occur in the heat of summer to avoid heat blast, establishment of an even well-spaced crop, and the use of a fungicide when applicable.